So, Dan, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you want to get political?
Yes. Can I hear the song?
Let's get political, political. So, Mark Zuckerberg, he just can't escape the news. It's been bad news over and over and over again. Did you hear that he was summoned to the United Kingdom's parliament?
How is what? He doesn't even live over there.
He doesn't, but of course you heard about Brexit and
Of
how
course.
the United Kingdom's trying to break away from the from hearts trying to break away from the European Union. Well, it looks like, and there's a lot of evidence to point to that Russia was using Facebook, and not just Russia, but pro-Brexiters were using it to alter the election, very similar to what
Really?
happened in the
In the
American
States?
2016 election.
Yeah.
So just like Zuckerberg was summoned to Congress to speak and talk about what happened with the 2016 election, well, the United Kingdom had summoned him to talk about the Brexit election as well.
Did he go? I mean, did he have to buy
He
a flight?
didn't. He stood them up. And so it happened today, and it was a big deal that he didn't go. And
He didn't even
so,
Skype in or anything?
no, he sent his vice president of policy solutions. His name's Richard Allan. And so he's like, well, I sent a vice president. But when you are summoned by one of the G7's government, you should probably go, especially a close trading partner and a big chunk of your business, which is England. And so he didn't go. And what's also interesting is Parliament summoned politicians from all over the world, and they said, hey, if you have a concern, if you want to ask Mark Zuckerberg a question, come. And so members of parliament from all over the world showed up. So Canada, Argentina, France, Singapore, Ireland, Belgium, Brazil, and Latvia, they all attended to grill Zuckerberg, and he was a no-show.
Wow. So does he get fined by them, or are they gonna put some restrictions on his Facebook, or what are the consequences?
Well, I think it's very similar to when he was summoned by Congress. I think they wanted to ask questions, they wanted to grill him. I know that Richard Allan, this VP of policy, he admitted that they could do better and that their platform had been misused, but he didn't really say that it was their fault. He basically said it was the bad guy's fault. It was the Russians, or it was whoever it was that was using their platform. So a lot of people are upset. And this is a quote from a member of parliament from Canada who went. He said, our democratic institutions seem to have been upended by frat boy billionaires from California.
All right.
So zing to Mark Zuckerberg.
That is a zinger. Um, I just want to say this out loud here that I think if people actually knew what Brexit was going to do, they never would have voted for it. I mean, there was just such a crash in everything when it happened all across the globe. I mean, the interest rate on even mortgages dropped a
Yep.
ton because of Brexit, and now they've got all this legal issues of, can we trade with the European Union, even though they're right next door? I mean, you can
Mm-hmm.
literally go in a tunnel and get to France, and they're different now. I mean, there's going to
Yep.
be tariffs, there's going to be people that
Customs.
are living abroad. I mean, I went to Spain this summer. A ton of people from the UK were living there, and they were telling me they have no idea what this means. So do they have to move back? Are they going to have to ask for a green card in Europe now? I mean, there's so many questions, and it's so ridiculous.
It
That's my
is.
opinion.
Yeah, it's really too bad, and it makes you wonder, and that's why a lot of people in the United Kingdom are actually calling for a second referendum. Now that everybody knows, do they really want to go through with it? However, the government says, no, look, a referendum was had, and we have to uphold it unless we can prove that there was some serious tampering that affected the referendum. And right now, there is a smoking gun, but the question is, how effective was it? And so it looks like they're going through with it and all the pain with it. You could also argue the same thing with the 2016 election. If everybody had known that Donald Trump would have won. I mean, I wasn't expecting him to. All the polls were showing that
Would you
Hillary
have moved to
Clinton.
California for that month and voted and then moved back?
I don't think it would have made a difference in California.
No,
You'd
you're
have to go
right.
to a swing state like Florida or some of the
Just
other
to
ones.
move over to Florida, all of us would move there for a month or two.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and back to your point, I mean, how effective is political advertising? I mean, I would like to say that I'm not swayed by a Facebook advertisement, but maybe I am subconsciously. I don't know.
Yeah.
And My opinion, though, on Brexit is I kind of get the feeling that most millennials didn't vote for it anyways. I think it was probably the older generation that's not too Facebook savvy.
Hmm.
Um, However, maybe what were
But
you
you
gonna
know
say?
what? They're not Facebook savvy, but yet they're the ones that forward these ridiculous articles that you see all the time, right? They're the ones
Yes.
that believe the crazy that these scammers are putting out there and the conspiracy theorists. So maybe because they are susceptible and they are on Facebook, that they're the ones that are getting sucked into these issues.
Fascinating. Well, we'll see what happens to our frat boy from California.
Yeah.
I think it's good, but the problem is if every government just started petitioning him to come over, I mean, you have to put a line down and say, no, I don't live there. This is ridiculous. I don't have time to be doing this. I mean, he literally has $1 billion company that has been sliced in half over the last week. He doesn't have time to fly to Europe. I mean,
Yeah.
half his net worth is gone.
But it's just been sliced in half because of these decisions, because of these issues. And I don't think it's good for his bottom line to stand up and say, I'm not going to one of the largest governments in the world, and to hold myself accountable for the actions of my company. I think that was a bad move for his pocket and a bad move for Facebook. And he's a global company, Dan. Global, which means you need to take responsibility globally. And I think it was a big mistake.
Well, if he does have headquarters in London, I'm not sure if he does. I mean, that you make a
Sure he
valid
does.
point there.
Yeah.
And England is part of the pentablet with the
The
Queen,
pen tablet
the Rothschilds,
and the colonel.
these wee beady eyes.